All right, how's everybody doing today? Today I'm on here with a good friend of mine, Anthony Gantt. Anthony is the founder and owner of At Ease Rentals. At Ease Rentals is the company that provides temporary lodging for military, active duty service members, and government travelers when PCSing, going TAD, or just on a leisure trip if you're traveling, on a personal trip. He's now retired, but Anthony and I served more than a decade together as Marine officers. And despite my many attempts, I was never able to convince him to get on the mats and train jiu-jitsu. Normally I have somebody on here that's, tied to me via jiu-jitsu, but Anthony has no jiu-jitsu background despite my many attempts. However, he has attained his black belt in the art of entrepreneurship, which is why I asked him to come on here today to talk about entrepreneurship, being recently retired and now running a very successful business. So, without further ado, again, Anthony, thanks for taking time out of your busy schedule. That's indicative of him doing this interview from the car because he's out there, as a businessman hitting the roads and traveling a lot. So, thanks again, man.
No, thanks for having me on the show. And I did get on the McMap, Marine Corps Martial Arts
Ah,
program.
that don't count, man. You're right. You're right. I did look over that. Marine Corps martial arts program. Anthony always tell me he's a lover, not a fighter. But I would argue you can still love people and choke them out. So,
That's true.
all right, jumping into the first point here, Anthony. What motivated you to become an entrepreneur? More specifically, to start PC or at Ease Rentals.
Well, I always thought about starting my own business. I saw my grandparents own their own business when I was a little kid. And then as life goes on, you start to get in the mix and the hustle of doing things. But, all of us have our side things, Martin, as you know. We would always talk about different things and making a little bit of extra cash flow and in addition to what the Marine Corps brings in. What made me start at ease was not being reimbursed for some lodging that I used during a permanent change of station, the PCS that we're very familiar with. And out of that situation, I started thinking about the other service members who were losing out on money whenever they use sites that are restricted, like the Airbnb or VRBO, Booking.com, because they want to use the conveniences of what they have in their personal life with their military travel. But as you know, we have something called mil spec, that military
Yeah,
specification, where if it don't meet X, Y, and Z, you don't get your money. And I was, and so
yeah,
um, it was a aha moment. I learned a lot. And then what really drove me to start the company is when I try to be like a good officer and write the folks who were putting the regulations and restrictions in place and
oh,
say, I need you guys to see if you can update the wording to these rules because there are going to be a lot of service members who end up in the same situation that I was in, where they'll go on this platform, book this property, and then not get reimbursed because it's very unclear if you can or can't during this type of travel or that type
yeah.
of travel. And it was like, nah, you can't use it. And I was like, so is there a company like this that is this? That's like, nah, but if somebody build it, we can see it being a good resource. And I was like, damn. And I was like, that's how it started.
Yeah. That's good, man. That's smart. I didn't realize you had taken the steps to actually write to have policy change as well too. I didn't know that. So let's talk about some cons. Everybody talks about the pros of being an entrepreneur. Monetary increase being the first. Let's talk about the bad part, the dark side. What are some cons of being an entrepreneur, starting your own business?
Pay. uh
Touche.
with, with the Marine Corps, first to 15th, never had to worry, right? Both of us continued to elevate our careers and get promoted. So that meant more money, more security,
Yeah.
financial security. And entrepreneurship, starting your own business, you are the person paying you. And then
Yeah.
if you got to pay your team first. Um, the cons, HR, human resources. I didn't worry
Yeah.
about no administrative stuff. Um, as you know, former administrator, that stuff is difficult. Handling people's
Yeah.
pay, medical, dental, eye care plan, getting a system that can handle it.
Yeah.
Another con, working. A lot of people want to be these Instagram, YouTube, making 30 grand a month doing nothing. I think is all bull crap. It's all about the process, right?
Yeah,
And the process, but I think instant media and a lot of people are gratifying the shortcut, and the shortcut is the long path to doing things forever.
yeah.
The slow and steady is what makes life easier. So it's a lot of cons, and like I was saying, you got to work. As you see, I'm in a car. All of my employees are off for the holidays, but it's people who paid us. It's like, hey, we need to get out here and do this inspection. So I don't put 4,000 miles on my car in the last 2 months.
Oh
I've been
wow.
out DC to Tampa. Right now I'm in. I think this is Temecula,
Also, you back in California?
back in
Oh
California.
man, yeah, I saw you post the road trip you driving up to the Northeast, man. I didn't realize you're back in Cali that quick, man.
Yeah,
So with that being said, which one do you think is harder, being a leader of Marines or leading your own company?
I think they're both difficult just in their own right. Being a leader of Marines was very difficult because it's funny, they give you this promotion, they give you this billet, but you never had this billet before, and people look at you as like the voice of like reason, the voice
Yeah,
of uh definitive information, and you were trying to figure it out yourself. But with the Marine Corps, as you know, people's lives were involved, so that's where the difficulty came in. And whether it was in garrison where you're on a training event with live ammunition, or going forward to a typical deployment that can like change into a real deployment anytime or go into a real situation. That's scary. Entrepreneurship, nobody's shooting at us. We ain't got to worry about looking for IEDs, roll the bombs in the street, right? But you do have to look for those business snipers and people who are strategically trying to take you out, whether it's by calling potential partners or partners you have and saying why you working with them. They crap
oh
don't
wow,
work. I had that.
wow.
Um, I've had people try to blow up my spot like this is their secret and this is how they do it, and then they go try to replicate it and they fail.
Yeah,
So a roadside bomb, and then worrying about people that you've hired and kind of keeping that payroll going. Right now, I think I got 11 employees. Um, 9 of them are full time. So I'm always scratching my head like we got to hurry up and make some more revenue, y'all. We got to make some
yeah.
more revenue. So I think they're both difficult, but in their own like right, they have like special outliers about them.
So let's talk about the point you just talked about your employees. So describe mentorship, mentoring Marines versus kind of mentoring your staff now, because you have different backgrounds, different experience levels, different focus points. In the Marine Corps, at MOS, we're kind of mentoring towards the same thing. So I imagine it's a little different for you now, right?
A little different, but the same. Because I noticed civilians, nothing bad against you all, but if you don't have a military background or a Marine Corps background, I won't even say military. I just say Marine Corps because we're very big on mentorship.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't do mentoring. And I think what I do is carry that over to at ease because it's my company. So I'm like, I'm a mentor you, I'm gonna counsel you, I'm
Yeah,
gonna get
yeah.
abilities to fix yourself. And if you don't, I can fire you. That's the best part. That's a uh um but I didn't do anything different with the mentorship in terms of employees. I just asked the employees questions like you normally would in that initial platoon commander, company commander, kneecap to kneecap.
Yeah.
Now we do it Zoom, Google Meet to Google Meet. And I asked them, who are you? Where are you from? What are your goals? What are your ambitions? Where you see yourself next year? Where you see yourself in 5 years? And get that information. What are your hobbies? What do you like? Like I got one guy, he's a developer. I said, hey, what do you like? He said, I love the code. He said, don't you like? I hate to be around people. So I said, coming up in October.
Just throw them into the fire. That's messed up, man. Oh man.
But I did that is because I need you to be uncomfortable in
Yeah.
situations, see how you operate and thrive. Because that code gonna get uncomfortable one day.
Yeah,
And I need
yeah,
to kind of keep his wits about him when he's still developing that code.
yeah.
So well. He was having some anxiety at it, and you just say, "Hey, calm down. They're just people. They're just people,
Yeah.
and like killing it, man. Like did really well. Then I had a person who was like, I love marketing, I love operations, I hate sales. I was like, all right, I need you to go see if you can sell this. Three
So working on the weaknesses, like we often talk about.
this.
Yeah. So with
So
that being said, I'm sorry. Go ahead. Go ahead. You have something else you want
I
to
don't,
throw in?
it's the same for me.
So with that being said, before I ask the next question, I want to kind of lay out your your career in the Marine Corps. For those of you who don't know, Anthony was prior enlisted like myself. On the enlisted side, he was a tanker by trade, uh, combat decorated. He doesn't talk about it much. He received one of the highest awards for his actions, in combat, leading those Marines inside of his tank. Fast forward, he went to school, went to college, got his degree, and then came back as a commissioned officer. And then from there, he transitioned to the wing, as he would say, chilling out in the air condition as a direct air support coordinator, as a dasketeer, as we refer to him in the Marine Corps. So, with all that being said, what aspects of your career prepared you for being an entrepreneur? So, you talked about the mentorship. Is there anything else that your career of 20 plus years prepared you for as now a leader of a company?
Yeah, that's funny. I drew back on this as I was starting the company. From the enlisted side of the house, being a young Lance Corporal, PFC, I say PFC then Lance Corporal, you had to do all the work, right? PFC,
Yeah.
perfect for cleaning. So the scrubbing toilet bowls. It's funny because I manage properties, but I really don't manage them. I go and help people who are like, hey, I want to put it on there, but I need some help. And I was like, I'll help you real quick.
Yeah.
Um, laying floors. I'm freaking helping people paint, putting up fires, alarms, like whatever to get this work
Get
in
it done. Yeah.
done, right? Where the rubber meets the road. And then as you progress, corporal, sergeant, staff sergeant, I see myself doing that direct leader involved with things. And what tanks prepared me for in terms of entrepreneur is the ability to just be dirty, like to embrace the elements. Don't care about it if it's cold, hot, like late, dark. Um, I'll give you a quick story. So we were on a road march in Iraq in 2000. This is maybe five now. We because we did the whole Fallujah thing, rode through Abu Ghraib, but now we had to go up north to the dam, Haditha Dam, and we on this long road march, trucking through, and somewhere along the way, some Marines, they probably were nasty infantrymen. They left out, and at night you can't see as well, and the Constantina wire wasn't lit up from the heat and everything, so it was a nice
Wow.
cold. Didn't even see it. Rolled over. It got into the track of the tank. And if it get around the sprockets, it started to act like a floss and can shear off our road wheels. Well, we get into the dam late. I mean, we are tired. Maybe 6 hours on the road in the tank doing that's 30 miles per hour. If
Yeah.
so, you're like 15 miles per hour like this. And that night we did our after the halt checks, went through, did the vehicles, checked the weapons, ammo, locking everything up, making sure it's secure, figuring out who's gonna be the fire watch. And at the time, Sergeant, no, I was still Corporal Gantt. I was still Corporal Gantt. Corporal Gantt told the Marines, all right, we'll come back and get this Constantine in the morning. Let's go get like at least 3, 4 hours. We don't have fire watch. Let's get this sleep in. Well, we never got the opportunity. There was a QRF call that came in, and we tried to hurry up and get down and get the Constantina wire off, and we thought we can get it to go out. And I remember this lieutenant, he was like, three, you stand behind. Everybody else, let's go. And then he was like, I'll deal with you later. And I was like, damn. what I brought that story up is because when I was a tanker, I learned that you can't put things off till tomorrow because you never know what tomorrow has in store. So there's a lot of times when I'm in entrepreneurship right now in the startup world, I be wanting to put off some of these emails, put things to the right. And I'm like, but I don't know what's gonna come.
Yeah.
And so I just get in and tackle it. And sometimes that'll be like last night. I was up until 1 in the morning, right? And I was like, oh, I gotta get some sleep so I can get on Martin call. But it's those things that I learned from tanks, from the air support control officer, the dash side. what that helped me do was to juggle a lot of information at once. Um, we did sit in the AC inside of a tent, but we will have like four different screens in front of us, plus two big old TVs or like projectors with flights, schedules of flights, ground units. Like every time y'all give a sit rep, we're marking a whole battlefield. We're looking at where fire missions are coming from friendly, what's coming in from enemy, and we're getting all these casualties and air suppliers and QRF calls, and you have your headphones on. So you got one channel in one head, another channel in another, and then you got the computers in front of you where you're talking in secret coalition and unclassified computers. So I used to have like this little mantra: listen, listen, look, 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 check the board, right? And that for over and over and over for a few years kind of helped me get a lot of information and then prioritize what's important and what can be put at a lower level of urgency. And that's the same thing with the business, right? I get 100 emails in, and I go through, cipher through all 100, and then I start racking and stacking on like what is the priority of what needs to be had, what needs to be addressed right now. And then you got employees, and every right now, and you're like, that can go. When do we go to this in March? All right, put that off until that this go here. So the Marine Corps has helped with balancing the urgency of things, prioritizing, and then just understanding that you can get dirty and down with the things. And then the last one is very fortunate to have gone to the Expeditionary Warfighting School with you, where we did intensive planning and planning and planning and presenting and presenting and planning and presenting. So when I had to write the business plan, I was like, McPP, baby. Marine Corps planning process that goes through like multiple steps. So like, did you do X, Y, and Z from like checking your fires to your intelligence to like logistics? Don't culminate. So I McPP'd the hell out of that business plan. And then I took the 5 paragraph plan and wrote like a business order. Like in my business plan, it has a vision, which is my commander's intent, and then it has a mission, which is actually our mission. It's like on this date we will do this. Like I kind of try to keep it as close to a mission as possible. So Marine
No,
Corps
that's
helped.
awesome, man. So it sounds like the stuff we did at EWS Expedition Warfare School here in Quantico paid off, huh?
It did. I'm surprised.
As much
I
as we complained about all the hours of
was,
planning, 8 hours of planning and writing orders, man. Yeah,
yeah, man, it worked. It helped.
that's awesome. To clear up a few acronyms for the non military or Marine listeners, QRF, what Anthony was talking about, quick reaction force. So in country in the combat theater, sometimes it was tanks. More often it was a mobile unit was tasked as a quick reaction force. They could respond quickly to, us infantry. I heard the pun at the infantry for leaving out the Constantina wire. He threw in there in his story. But tanks, different mounted units would come help us out, in times of need. And I did appreciate having my brethren like Anthony and the tanks and big guns coming to help us out more often than not. So to clear up a couple acronyms or buzzwords that we use here in the Marine lingo. So we talked about the cons, Anthony. Can you talk about the pros now of being an entrepreneur? So the good side, all the glamour and everything that people look forward to as an entrepreneur.
For the pros for me, it doesn't come with like what you hear, like the typical story. I'm really excited that one day, well, we already started, but on a larger scale, we'll be able to help more people make their lives easier. Our tagline is change how you move. You just recently moved back to the East Coast from the West Coast. I don't have to tell you how difficult that whole episode or series of episodes is. But a lot of people don't realize how difficult it is to move. So my goal is to like help so many service members make their transition smooth and easier. Like I said, we've already helped on a very small scale with a couple of people,
Yeah.
and just to hear them on the phone or see their emails, and when they come back and tell you how much you made their lives better, that feels really good. And that's what I struggled with before retirement. I got selected to be a commander for the recruiting station out of
Yeah.
Charlotte, North. And I was like, man, this is going to take me on a path to like where I would love to go if I stayed in the Marine Corps. And then on the other path, I was like, when I can be an entrepreneur and I can still do great things, what ultimately made me make the decision to retire was I can go here, command a few hundred Marines and help that specific group of Marines, or I can be an entrepreneur and help the entire force, the
Yeah.
Department of Defense. And that to me was like a pro. Another pro was being able to change people's lives. I believe that this company is going to do really well and take off to do great things. And along with that, the people that I bring into the company that help elevate it to that next level, they will be able to change their trajectory of how they live and generations after that forever. A big pro, you haven't experienced this yet, is to grow facial hair.
I see. I'm envious, man.
Ain't nobody checking my shaving shit.
Yeah, I'm envious, man. Looking forward to the day to grow it out. Although I think it will expose all the grays that I've been keeping my hair low and
And
keeping
I had gray hair till I grew a beard and got some hair on my head. I was like, I got crap.
it. No, that's awesome, man. Anthony is being very modest in the success of At Ease Rentals. He's doing very well. I'll give him a shout out because he's not going to do it himself. But for service members that are transitioning and you're looking to do a skill bridge program, At Ease Rentals is registered as a company that will allow you to do your skill bridge. So having somebody recently retired who's gone through the process of transitioning out and now has a company that can help, like he said, help service members. Definitely an option to look into when you look into sign up for Skill Bridge. And I'll
Oh,
tell you,
good.
my go ahead. Sorry, Anthony. Go ahead.
Also, also do military spouses.
Oh,
I
that's right.
believe right now we'll hire people who are like, i.e., got a military background, spouses, veterans, and dependents who I don't have to explain PCS to. Not opposed to other people, but if I say, hey, we work with PCS and TDY, they're like, oh, I got this.
Yeah.
Permanent change, temporary duty travel. Because that'll help us go fast. And then when we need to go far, we'll get people who have a diversity of thought that kind of bring that civilian world
Yeah.
expertise to the table.
That's awesome. And I can tell you from my personal experience, in the last 5 years, my family and I have 4 PCS moves. Three of them are across country. So driving from East Coast to California and then back out here. So definitely picking Anthony's brain on, where to stay, how to tie in, TLE, TLA, all of that stuff has definitely been beneficial on a personal level for me. So let's close out with, the topic I always like to talk about, Anthony. So what has been the most rewarding part of the process of becoming an entrepreneur?
The process.
The process itself?
Yeah, the process itself. If I can show you I'll send my first pitch deck compared to where it is today.
Oh, yeah.
The books I've been able to read, the podcasts I've been introduced to, the meetings and conferences that I've been able to experience. I've gone and sat in some business classes, and the questions that I ask in those classes and business courses are light years beyond what some of the business students are going through and learning. And the professors are like, yo, who are you? I'm sorry, because as you know, I worked at the University of Texas.
Yep.
So I was able to sit on those classes as a fellow professor and just sit in them. And I had one business professor told me, you do not need to go to business school unless you want to have that on your resume and make those connections. He said, I can't teach what you're learning.
Yeah.
The process, the overall process, like man, I can't even put it in words. Just like you said, right now, sitting in the vehicle, working, and then driving to the next situation and learning and like, oh, I didn't know that. And talking to all these different people is just building up so much character. Um, it's like being that little Marine who gets all the jobs and you hate that you have all the jobs. And then by the time you're the sergeant and everybody coming to you, they're like, how you know everything? It's the process.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So one last question I forgot to throw in at the end, but what advice would you give anybody, maybe an active duty service member who's looking to do what we did and kind of start on active duty or transition out? Would you give those two people the same advice or different advice?
I was telling them to do it. Yeah, I give the same advice. I always tell service members to do it. One thing the military teaches us to be creative and innovative and like figure things out. But I think we get complacent because it's a really comfortable life.
Yeah.
Up, PT, take a shower, get some breakfast, go to work. And for the ones who are single and live in the barracks and may not have a family, they're going to go have a hobby, whether that's hitting the gym, going to do some martial arts training, going to play some basketball, go play some video games. Everybody has a hobby that they could go. And if you ever look at how much time you allot to those hobbies, a lot of that time can be allotted to starting a business or
Yeah.
some of it, a fraction of it. So what I did is I looked at my hobbies and I was like, well, those hobbies ain't paying me. So what can I with that is paying me. And I started focusing on at ease to kind of create opportunity to retire. And then if they're transitioning out and they're wondering, should I start the business? Do I have what it takes? 100%. 100%. They should definitely go and do it. I would say anyone, if you have that urge and that itch to start a business because you actually know there's a problem that you can solve, go do it. Too many times I see people making another app, another Facebook, another Instagram, TikTok. I'm like, God damn, we got enough of that. Um, there's so many problems that exist that people can solve for that if you just look at a problem that a lot of people have, go solve it and people will pay you for it. Simple stuff too. Garbage cans in people's neighborhoods. Go find a neighborhood with a whole lot of old people and be like, hey, I'll take your can down and bring it back up. We'll do $45 a month. And then go hire some little high school kids and pay them $10 for each house.
Yeah.
So you don't make $35 on top of that, right? So it's so many opportunities around here that people struggle with. And if you got that itch, do it. For veterans, service members transition out, my only thing I would say is this is very huge. Don't run away from the veteran community.
Yeah.
I say don't run away from the veteran community. I've talked to so many entrepreneurs who are like, I thought I got out, I ain't want nothing to do with it. Wrong answer. It's so many billionaires, millionaires, and people connected that have veteran statuses in different agencies, organizations, corporations that will help you once they figure out you belong to the same fraternity, right? They might give you some flack. Well, they'll never give me flack because we Marines, right? But Army, Air Force, and Navy, or Space Force, of course, the Marines gonna talk trash to everybody. But there's that little like brother, sister, like bickering with each other. But at the end of the day, y'all are family,
Yeah.
and they will do the end of the earth to help you, just like they would if they were still in uniform.
Yeah. Yeah.
And engage in looking at those resources when you're transitioning out on active duty will change the trajectory of your business. It's changed mine. I stayed engaged, and that's what's been helping me. Like I can't tell you how many vets and active duty and reservists are pumping my stuff out to the
Yeah.
world.
Yeah. Well, that's awesome, man. Again, Anthony, I'd like to thank you for coming on. I know you're a busy man, hence being in the vehicle, ready to roll to the next spot. So thanks for taking some time out to sit down and talk about entrepreneurship with me. Best of luck to you in the business at Ease Rentals going into 2023. I wish you nothing but success, man.
Same to you, man. Best of luck to you and your business as well.
All right, thanks, man. Appreciate it.